Now from the news team that's covering the Carolinas, this is Channel 9 Eyewitness News Saturday morning.
This morning, students, teachers, and advocates across the country will march to demand safer schools. We'll break down the local areas set to march. And winter returns to the Carolinas, packing cold temperatures, rain, even snow. We're using Charlotte's only local radar to pinpoint what your neighborhood will see. Thanks for joining us. I'm Elsa Gillis.
And I'm meteorologist Vicki Graff.
Vicki, it is going to be a wild weather weekend.
It is, and we're already seeing some of that snow moving into the mountains. Rain, I'd say, west of 321 for now. And I want to take a closer look at this large setup. We have this system approaching from the northwest, and the heaviest rain, that's not going to move through until later tonight. In fact, I do have some changes to the forecast, which might be good for your plans if you're in Charlotte or points further south. We're dry for now. Most of that rain and snow will stay north and west throughout a good part of the day. We do have winter storm warnings in effect for the mountains through tomorrow. Several inches of snow is expected. I'll take you through Futurecast to show you when that will wind down. Elsa?
In just a few hours, students, teachers, and others across the country will participate in March for Our Lives events. It's another effort to call on lawmakers to make school safety a priority and toughen gun legislation. 5,000 to 10,000 people are expected to march through uptown Charlotte at 11 this morning. Student organizers told us they want lawmakers to take action after the deadly high school shooting in Parkland, Florida last month, and others across the country over the years.
For students to be doing this, I think that's an honor.
It's important that kids, not kids, but young adults and kids have a voice.
CMPD will have officers at First Ward Park to make sure everything runs smoothly. Hundreds of thousands will attend today's march in Washington, D.C., and that's where we find Eyewitness News reporter Serena Marshall live for us this morning. Serena?
Elsa, good morning. Even before the crowds gather here later this morning, the students were on Capitol Hill yesterday, making sure lawmakers know that this is just the start of their movement, not the end. The student-led takeover of the nation's capital. Some arriving by the busload, others like Sam Zeif by plane, all with a message.
I want the world to know that we're not going to stop until I'll feel safe anywhere.
Sam's friend Joaquin was one of the victims of last month's shooting.
And it's so frustrating because he should still be here. They should all still be here.
The sadness and anger shared by Dimitri Hoff, a senior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, who told lawmakers,
"Let us march in unison to the rhythm of justice, because I say enough is enough."
In the shadow of the Capitol, students from across the country joined them.
Our voices are loud, our voices are clear, and our voices are about to change history.
And the students are not fighting for change alone. From the New England Patriots lending their plane to victims and their families, to Lyft giving out free rides. The event itself, 3 hours with featured musical acts, including this song by Lin-Manuel Miranda and Ben Platt, inspired by the movement.
Tomorrow there'll be more of us telling the story of tonight.
That's really what this is all about. Kind of making sure that no one ever forgets his or the 16 other people's names.
Marching along Pennsylvania Avenue with a powerful message to the nation. The march doesn't start for a few hours, but already there are probably about 100 people gathered outside here in Washington, D.C. They expect upwards of 500,000 at this march, and there are more than 800 sister marches happening across the country. Live in Washington, Serena Marshall, Channel 9 Eyewitness News. Elsa?
Serena, thank you. I'm back in severe weather, Center 9 with meteorologist Vicki Graff. Vicki, we're hours away from the march in uptown Charlotte. Demonstrators have to prepare for cold weather.
It's going to be cold, and I'd grab that rain gear just in case. We'll only see a few showers here in Charlotte this morning. The heaviest rain will pick up later today. Now, the snow is already moving into the mountains. That will continue through the afternoon. Several inches will be possible. The best chance for rain this morning, I believe, will be north of Charlotte. I'd say closer to the I-40 corridor and even west of 321. But then later tonight, that heavier rain will arrive. For Charlotte this weekend, that top threat will be that heavy rain at times tonight. You don't have to worry about thunderstorms, and the snow and ice will stay in the mountains. I'll show you how much we're expecting coming up. Elsa?
Stay with Channel 9 throughout the day as we monitor the wintry weather. Meteorologist John Aarons will have your forecast tonight at 6 on Eyewitness News. We'll also have a full report on the March for Our Lives in Uptown Charlotte. Breaking in North Charlotte this morning, I-45 Inner reopened just 35 minutes ago after medics says a crash killed 2 people overnight. This is video from our DOT camera near Oakdale Road from earlier this morning. You can see dozens of troopers and ambulances on scene, and in the middle of the screen you can see that crash. Troopers have not said what caused the crash. New this morning, investigators say inmates overpowered a guard during a riot at a South Carolina prison. It happened last night at Lee Correctional Institute in Bishopville. Senator Carl Allen, who serves on the Senate Corrections Committee, said the riot was confined to one dorm that houses 100 inmates. Medical staff evaluated the guard and sent him home. No inmates were hurt. It's not clear what led to the riot. Channel 9 has done several investigations into South Carolina prisons, including this brutal inmate attack while guards weren't around. The Corrections Department said prisons are significantly short-staffed, with 600 officer positions open. Police believe a stolen car was involved in a crash in Huntersville. It happened last night on Kearns Road. One person was seriously hurt. They say the car was overturned when they arrived on scene. And a short time later, police say they found a person in some bushes. Police say it's unclear at this point if that person was the driver. Just hours ago, protesters clashed with police in Sacramento, California, after officers shot and killed an unarmed man. Investigators say those officers fired 20 shots. Sunday night, police got a 911 call that someone was breaking car windows. The sheriff's helicopter followed a man hopping a fence before officers on the ground confronted Stephon Clark in his grandmother's backyard.
Hey, show me your hands! Stop!
Police body cam video shows a brief encounter with Clark before officers fired 20 rounds, killing him. Police said they thought Clark was armed, but no weapon was found, only a cell phone. The chief says more body cam videos from all of the responding officers will be released.
We don't have confirmation yet of whether he was the subject breaking into the cars, but hopefully at some point as we gather the facts, we will know that one way or the other.
2 officers are on paid administrative leave. Police are asking residents to be patient with them as they investigate the deadly shooting. New this morning, prosecutors recreated the movements of a man accused of killing a Monroe teen 8 years ago, but an expert witness quickly realized there was an error. Michael Johnson is accused of killing then 16-year-old Felicia Barnes, stuffing her body into a storage container, then tossing it near a dam. Yesterday, Baltimore prosecutors used phone calls and text messages to map where Johnson was the day Barnes was killed. When an expert testified about the mapping, though, he realized there was an error. That map has been used in 2 of the 3 trials for Johnson. This trial will resume Monday morning. Investigators say this man used hotels to prostitute women across North Carolina and other states. One local advocacy group told us that's exactly the problem they're trying to solve. Eyewitness News reporter Stephanie Tinoco explains the new initiative to spot criminals and victims at Charlotte hotels.
Trafficking is right in front of our nose and we don't recognize it.
Dr. Pat Kerkorkian with Lily Pad Haven says Charlotte is one of the top 10 cities in the country for human trafficking.
It's second only to the drug traffic business.
The nonprofit that helps survivors is launching a new initiative to change that. They're working with local hotels, spas, salons, and strip clubs to let traffickers know their business isn't welcome.
Human trafficking makes over $150 billion a year.
Thursday's indictment of a former soldier charged with trafficking didn't come as a surprise.
Regardless of the fact that he pledged to take care of our country, he was a soldier, he was a reserve. Human trafficking is big business.
Prosecutors say Corporal Xavier Boston used hotel rooms for purposes of prostitution. Dr. Kerkorkian says this isn't uncommon, especially in high-end hotels.
Most of the traffickers don't use those very bad motels because the perpetrators are not very bad men. You can't look at them and see that they're bad men. They're businessmen. They can be from any profession.
Stephanie Tinoco, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
The hospitality industry brings in more than $7 billion each year. The doctor says she hopes more employees will be trained to spot the signs and report it to police. In South Carolina, police and prosecutors told Channel 9 a bill about to be signed into law by President Trump will help them fight human trafficking. The bill strips federal protection from websites that promote or facilitate human trafficking and prostitution. It allows victims to sue those websites for damages. Law enforcement have often targeted Craigslist and Backpage.
And some of these websites have hidden behind the federal law to prevent local and state authorities from going after them. Now they no longer can hide behind this law.
Craigslist quickly reacted to the threat of lawsuits and criminal charges, removing all personal ads this week. President Donald Trump is trying once again to ban people who are transgender from serving in the U.S. military. The president signed an executive order last night which bans most from serving except in limited circumstances. The White House says those who may need substantial medical treatment are a considerable risk to military effectiveness. New this morning, Duke fans are waking up pretty excited. The men's basketball team is headed to the Elite Eight after barely beating Syracuse last night. It was a hard-fought battle for both teams, and it really came down to the final 6 seconds. Gary Tent Jr. made 2 free throws to seal the win for Duke, 69-65. Duke will face Kansas tomorrow night in the Elite Eight after Kansas narrowly beat Clemson. At one point, Clemson trailed Kansas by 15 points. But with 14 seconds remaining, the Tigers were shy just 4 points. It came down to this final shot by Kansas, which gave them the 80-76 victory. Get excited. Carowinds opens for the 2018 season in just a few hours. For the 5th straight year, the park has added new rides and attractions. That includes this year's updated kids area called Camp Snoopy. It used to be called Planet Snoopy. It will include 5 new rides and a climb and play area. The park opens at 10 this morning. There will be a special ceremony at that time to mark the new kids area. Teachers scared to do their jobs every day. At 7:45, Channel 9 uncovered the repeated calls to 911 and the crimes leaving teachers on edge. After years of controversies plaguing the Charlotte Fire Department, the new chief is ready to change things.
From the outside coming in, my plan is to listen, read and research.
At 7:30, the chief's top priorities day 1 and the changes he could make.
Temperatures are in the 30s and 40s right now, and will pretty much stay here throughout most of the day. I'll show you how long the winter chill will last coming up in 10 minutes.